The Nephilim and the world before the flood. Before history learned to write itself, before kingdoms rose and fell, there was another world, heavier, slower, stranger. It is not a myth, but a memory, whispered through scripture and stone, of beings too vast for proportion, too luminous for flesh. They were called Nephilim, the fallen ones, half heaven, half earth. The Bible does not shout their names, it only murmurs. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that. Just a fragment. But between its lines lies an abyss of time, an age not meant for us. The world was young then, yet not the same earth we know. The air pressed thicker, like breathing through water. Light had weight. The heartbeat of the planet drummed slower, deeper. Trees towered like cathedrals. Insects grew monstrous under the richer air. Even gravity seemed gentler, as though the earth had not yet learned the art of constraint. It was a world built for giants, and a death sentence for creatures as fragile as us. But beyond biology, there was consciousness, vast, harmonic, almost divine. They said the Nephilim could hear the stars sing, could feel rivers tremble beneath stone. To stand beside one was to stand inside a frequency too wide for the human mind. In the Book of Enoch, the tale unfolds. The Watchers, angels bound to the heavens, looked down upon the daughters of men. They descended upon Mount Hermon and made a pact, to take mortal wives and teach humankind the secrets of heaven, the forging of metal, the crafting of weapons, the knowledge of enchantment. From this union came the Nephilim, the mighty men of old, heroes of renown, and abominations. Creation itself shuddered. Stone still remembers them. At Baalbek, blocks weighing nearly 1,000 tons rest as if set by fingers accustomed to gravity's surrender. At Sacsayhuaman and Pumapunku, megaliths fit with surgical precision, seams thinner than light. No pulley, no lever. No tool we know could move them. Yet they stand, mute as witnesses, whispering of hands that shape stone like clay. And scattered across the earth, the echoes repeat. Elongated skulls in Paracas, oversized femurs in Anatolia, footprints too large to belong to man, always dismissed as anomalies, yet always the same pattern across civilizations that never met. Perhaps myth is not invention, but memory diluted by mercy. For if we stood in their world, even for one day, we would not endure. The pressure alone would break our lungs. The light would burn our blood. The air itself would hum with awareness until our minds fractured from the sound. The giants did not merely live in a physical realm. They existed within a consciousness too immense for us to share. The Book of Jubilees says the Watchers gave humanity forbidden knowledge. The result was brilliance and war. Civilization rose too fast, reflecting heaven's rebellion in mortal form. And the Creator looked down, not upon innocence, but upon smoke. Then came the water. The Great Flood was not just punishment, but calibration, a divine thinning of the veil. When the waters fell, the world reset. The sky cleared. The oxygen thinned. The survivors, if any remained, were smaller, human-sized. And the memory of giants sank beneath mud and myth. Yet some say a few lived on. Og, king of Bashan, the Anakim, the Rephaim, Goliath of Gath. Ancient texts treat them not as allegory, but lineage. Josephus wrote that in his time, bones of great size, human in shape, were still displayed. Across Bashan's plains, dolmens 3 meters high stand empty. Graves too large for us, waiting for names long forgotten. The ruins whisper continuity. Underwater cities off the coast of India date to before the dawn of agriculture. And Göbekli Tepe, buried deliberately 12 millennia ago, may have been built not to honor gods, but to seal away their memory. Its faceless pillars watch the horizon like silent sentinels over a story no one was meant to retell. How did they build? Perhaps with sound. Ancient chants speak of binding stones with voice. Modern physics calls it resonance. At the right frequency, even granite softens. Deep beneath pyramids, chambers still vibrate with tones tuned to human organs, as if the architecture itself were alive. If the Nephilim commanded such harmonics, perhaps they sang matter into form. But creation unbalanced becomes destruction. Across the deserts of Libya and Sinai lie sheets of glass, sand melted by heat no furnace could achieve. Science says lightning. Others say divine fire. Either way, it was the end of the first world. Did they all die? Some believe not. There are whispers of survivors, in the mountains, under the oceans, or beneath the Antarctic ice. Operation High Jump, 1947. Admiral Byrd returns early, speaking of flying craft from pole to pole. His report sealed, his words softened. But in the maps of melted ice, strange hexagonal structures glow beneath 2 miles of frost, shapes no glacier could carve. Perhaps extinction was never total. Perhaps it was hibernation. Science, too, holds its secrets. DNA from ancient remains contains ghost lineages, sequences not belonging to Homo sapiens or Neanderthal. Unlabeled, unclaimed. Maybe not extraterrestrial, but antediluvian. Fragments of the forbidden inheritance within us. And maybe that explains us. Our relentless reach for heaven. Our obsession with knowledge that burns. Our machines of fire. Our babbles of data. Our cathedrals of steel. We call it progress. They called it transgression. Every time humanity rises too far, too fast, there comes a flood. Sometimes of water, sometimes of consequence. Imagine, you awaken in their world. The sky is bronze. Auroras bloom at the equator. Lightning leaps from earth to cloud. The air glows faintly, and shapes move slowly, immense, radiant. One turns its gaze toward you. You see no face, only light. And in that moment, memory not your own floods in. The birth of mountains, the death of stars. Your mind collapses beneath the scale of being. The last thing you hear is not a word, but a vibration, a name too old to speak. Perhaps the flood was not punishment, but mercy. A veil drawn across unbearable memory. Yet memory does not die. It mutates. It hides in our bones, our myths, our genes. We are smaller now, but the hunger remains. To build, to ascend, to become as gods again. The Nephilim fell because they forgot the boundary between creation and creator. And perhaps, in our laboratories and temples of technology, we are forgetting too. Because sometimes what returns is not the body, but the idea. And when the ice melts and the frequencies rise and machines begin to think, perhaps the earth will whisper once more, in the language of thunder and forgotten light. The giants have returned.
Subscribe to watch the next episode.